The anxious and avoidant dynamic is a trap because they're both right and they're both wrong, and they'll both end up lonely, scared, and jealous within this relationship because of it. So the anxious is correct in their assumptions, because if the avoidant would just show up consistently and reassure them and show them with love and kindness and patience that they're not going anywhere, and provide them with all the reassurance in the world and make and keep promises, then this person would calm down and they could develop into a secure space. And the avoidant is right, because if the anxious would just calm down and believe in this person and have faith that they're not going anywhere and be able to self-regulate enough for this person to come around, then they would both be able to settle into the secure space too. But because neither one is willing to go first, and they both keep protecting their own triggers and their own fears, they end up battling it out in this never-ending cycle. The anxious person has a deep-seated insecurity about being left or rejected. So when the avoidance starts to dismiss them or pull back to protect their own triggers, this person sees that as a warning sign. See, they're going to leave. I knew it. And they start preparing for that event. The preparation looks like them putting on their armor. This is jarring for this person, and it confirms fears that they had, that if they let their guard down and are close to this person, that this person will criticize them and make them feel like crap. So their own behavior ends up confirming what they already were scared of in their partner. So both of these people have to let go of control. This person has a fear of what other people think of them and letting them down. They need to let go of the control that they try and keep over other people's opinions of them. This person has more of a fear of uncertainty. So they try to control and anticipate outcomes. That makes the people around them feel, very nervous and controlled, because they have an agenda oftentimes.
He's angry. Just trying to lighten the mood.
How did you come up with that?
That's so lame.
No, it was not. It was hysterical.
He's upset.
I'm not talking about the book. I'm talking about what you're doing right now.
I just wanted you to know how much I loved your book. Because I did.
She's reassuring
I'm
him.
sorry I muddied it up with the
She
whole
wants to
scrunchy
repair.
thing.
It's not that big a deal.
He's repressing his feelings, but
I think I'm going to call it a night. I got to get an early start tomorrow.
Are you kidding?
he's uncomfortable.
No, thanks for dinner.
He's feeling discomfort,
Call you tomorrow.
and he wants to blame
and
her on
then
some
there are
level.
times when a New York woman should not shut the fuck up.
He wants to detach.
Burger!
He's not sure how he feels, so he's struggling.
Burger?
But there's a lot going on here.
You can't just pull that line on me and walk away.
Well, next time it's true.
Well, you're obviously still pissed, and I'm sorry, but you can't just shut down like this. We have to be able to say what's on our minds. If you thought that I had made some kind of mistake, I would want you to tell me.
Oh? Nice hat.
Passive-aggressive. Now that she turns away, he's fearful
Gary.
of losing
It's
connection
fabulous.
with
You
her.
just said that to hurt my
Yeah,
feelings.
well, that's how you made me feel the other night.
Fabulous.
So you can just walk away now.
Yes, I can.
Well, look, I'm sorry, all right? But what was I supposed to do with that scrunchy
Starting
comment? Was
to
I supposed
say
to
it.
hop in my time machine and go back and fix my entire book?
I don't know what your problem is, but it doesn't have anything to do with a scrunchie.
Yeah, it's about the fact that my book is a big fat fucking failure.
Wait, what?
It's just...
The truth comes out.
I already feel like shit. You trying to pump me up all night, not helping.
He feels vulnerable and weak in front of her.
I'm sure this is all very sexy.
This is overwhelming for him. She takes control of the situation. She wants to repair, and she
I
will.
want to say something, and I want you to listen. You're a beautiful writer, and I love
Takes
your
the
book.
pressure off of him in that moment
And I love
to really
you.
reveal more.
And
I'm Sibel. I am a relationship coach, and I used to have an anxious attachment style, and now I've earned secure attachment. And I want to explain to you what's happening in this scene. So Carrie's anxious, and the way that she demonstrates that is she is really reassuring, and she puts out a lot of effort in trying to make sure that the mood is good, that there's a safe space to maybe even express yourself, even though when you're anxious, it may not actually be a safe space that you're creating. What you're trying to do a lot of times is draw the avoidant partner in to create an emotional connection, sometimes in a way that feels really forceful. What's really interesting about this scene, though, is that Berger goes from wanting to push her away almost to a point where he is punishing her. But then you'll notice in the scene, he is now the one pursuing her, running after her. How come? How does that happen? Well, the avoidant deals with a lot of feelings around shame, guilt, and emotional closeness, but they also do react strongly to the anxious person suddenly pulling away their warmth, reassurance, and presence from them. Last time I made a video like this, I spoke from the perspective of an anxious person. So let's say you're avoidant. What can you say in a situation like this? Look, I'm feeling really uncomfortable and overwhelmed right now. And I don't want to take it out on you because I do care about you. But right now, I really need time away just so I can sit and think through what is happening with me. This is really not about you or anything that you did in particular. And if it is, I will definitely address it with you. But please just give me the time and space that I need to process what I'm going through. Now, I will talk to you tomorrow by this time. And I will let you know how I'm doing and how I'm feeling, because right now I really just need time away. Do you see what I did there? There's a point where I say, I don't know if this is exactly something that you did or didn't do, but I need to go investigate that. Essentially what you're saying to the anxious person is that you're not playing the blame game here. You're not. You feel bad and something happened, but you need to go investigate what that thing is.
Someone who's avoidant, it's not like they're logically like, you know what, I'm just going to manipulate the situation and pull away and make her feel like crap. It's not. There is this very quick reaction that intimacy is not safe, that it's going to control you. It's going to take away your freedom. In a split second, there is a reaction, and a reaction that has been going on for years, decades. And if you don't understand that, it can continue pushing people away without understanding why. And then logically, you're like, oh, it's because you're just not the one, right? You'll rationalize, you'll say something without realizing these are ways I'm pushing away intimacy because deep down my nervous system is getting triggered and it's actually shutting down.
Wow. I think you're so right. It's that people think of that avoidant style as being an offensive tactic when the reality is it's a defense. The avoidant person is avoidant as a means of self-defense.
What the avoidant will do when triggered is they'll deactivate, and what the anxious will do when they're triggered is they will try to hyperactivate. So they'll cling, they'll chase, they'll do whatever it is to reestablish connection.
I'm going to help you to understand avoidant attachment style and start to take the steps towards healing this. Okay, so avoidant attachment is where somebody in the present is very guarded around love. They're not vulnerable. They find love a pressure. It's, kind of the last on their list. A relationship is the last on their list. They're very self-sufficient. They're very independent people. And the reason they are that way is because in the past, as a little boy, as a little girl, love wasn't safe. There wasn't an experience of nurturing, caregiving, present, secure love given to them from their parents or caregivers. And ultimately they detached from love. They felt that they're not lovable, that they're not worthy, and so they're now self-sufficient, independent in the present, pushing away people, even attracting in unavailable people to have dynamics with because that feels safer. So the way you're going to heal an avoidant attachment style is to go back into the past and heal all of those memories around being unlovable, around not being worthy, healing the trauma that occurred with your parents through recontextualizing those memories to know that you are whole, to know that you are lovable, to know that you are worthy, so that you can really open up your heart and let love in. Not see love as a pressure, not see love as something to be guarded around, but to open up your heart to feel safe, secure, happy, and to let the right person into your life. So therapy, courses, all of these things can help you.
If you're dating someone with an avoidant attachment style, that means that they oscillate between this deep, warm intimacy and then retreating from that intimacy completely, like just withdrawing, and it's like cold or you don't hear from them. It's kind of like whiplash. Like there'll be moments where they just don't text back and you really want to hear from them. You want to hang out, but they're just nowhere to be found, or emotionally they're just vacant, they're gone, and you're thinking like, what happened? Are you okay? Are we okay? Like, did I offend you in some way? But you have to keep in mind, for someone with an avoidant attachment style, this closeness that you're experiencing, the closeness is the trigger. Like when you experience betrayal or neglect as a kid, it's like, you have all these hopes and anticipation for this warm connection, maybe with a parent, but then those hopes are shattered and you're left to pick up the emotional pieces of that alone. So then you learn the lesson emotionally that when you're hopeful about this intimacy, this warmth, that's a signal that you're probably going to get let down. And so then you learn the lesson. It's avoid rejection, avoid, let down. You have to avoid intimacy, and it can feel like a huge challenge in the relationship because you have an experience of that too. It's like you can endure that for a while, but it starts to feel lonely, and you start to feel like, well, what can I do here? Like, is this just the relationship? Like, how can I fix this? And you can't. The best thing you can do actually is to set some boundaries. I know that feels counterintuitive, but the reality is that they aren't handling the trust and love that you're extending to them well. And your reality matters too. And you might think, well, they're traumatized. They can't help it. And it's like, okay, well, here's the thing. If someone was being violent towards you, would you not set a boundary because it's based in trauma? There's all sorts of dysfunctional behaviors that are based, at least to a degree, in trauma. Like, that doesn't mean that setting a boundary is a bad or mean thing. It might actually be the loving thing to do because when they withdraw from you, that's not helping either of you. So, and here's the thing. I'm not saying this is like a punishment or something. I'm not saying you need to ghost them. It'd actually be good if you were really explicit, like if you could communicate this, like that I feel a lot of sadness when you retreat, and I'm not trying to shame you, I'm not trying to blame you for anything, I'm just saying that, like, I care about you and I want to extend trust in a setting that feels really safe, and the setting that feels safest to me is actually couples counseling. And you have a choice here. You can step into this with me or you can leave, but the reality is it's not healthy for either of us when one of us is constantly feeling abandoned.
When the avoidant meets the anxiously attached or codependent type, then starts this push and pull dance, which is rooted in chaos. So the avoidant has behavioural patterns of a fear of intimacy, a fear of commitment. They might chase in the beginning, and then once they secure this person's love, that fear of intimacy or fear of commitment is going to kick in. They love the high of the chase, but once that kicks in, they're going to pull back. It's about their needs being first. They may have addictions, kind of like drug, alcohol, or sex addiction. These avoidant types tend to be aligned with instant gratification. They kind of like people fixing them, people enabling them. And, they have like an entitlement or enmeshment issue. Maybe they were spoilt by mother or father. So this kind of aligns with the anxious attachment or codependent type. These people tend to love fixing others. They align with the hot and cold and the push and pull. They put up with this inconsistency. They have unhealed abandonment wounds. So when this person pulls back, this really kicks in that abandonment wound. And they're used to putting their needs second or last. Okay, so if you are suffering with anxious attachment or indeed codependency, then this is the healing. Instead of fixing others, you've got to start to learn to fix yourself. Look for consistent, loving relationships. Look for the internal validation within yourself, not from avoidant attachment types. Work on your self-love, your boundaries, and only align with safe, secure, consistent, healthy love. And start to put what you need first and doing healthy compromises in your relationships. With regards to avoidance, especially avoidance with addiction issues, they really need to start to do addiction programs, overcome their fear of commitment, look at self-love and inner validation instead of all of this instant gratification, work on integrity, compromise, any entitlement or enmeshment issues, and emotional intelligence, as opposed to this back-forth dynamic.